The birthday ballot, Australia's Vietnam draft. It's 9:30 in the morning on March 10th, 1965. Inside the Department of Labour and National Service in Melbourne, a small crowd gathers in a quiet room. Officials stand beside a lottery barrel. Inside are numbered marbles. Each marble represents a date. A birthday. The barrel will be spun. Marbles will be drawn. And the lives of thousands of young Australian men will change forever. Not through choice, not through courage, but through chance alone. The room is unremarkable. Plain walls, fluorescent lights, wooden chairs arranged in rows. Pressmen crowd at the back, cameras ready. But they've been warned. They can photograph the drawing of the first marble, but they cannot see or photograph the number on it. The results will be kept secret. For weeks, young men will wait in agony, not knowing if their birthday has been drawn. Outside, across the nation, 20-year-old men go about their lives. Some are at work, some at university, some on family farms. They all know what's coming. The National Service Act was passed last November. Every 20-year-old male whose birthday is drawn will be conscripted. 2 years of compulsory military service, followed by 3 years in the reserves. And after that, perhaps deployment. To a distant jungle. To a war most Australians barely understand. To Vietnam. Representative Dan Mackinnon places his hand into the barrel. The marbles rattle as it spins. Each sound carries the weight of 1,000 futures. He draws the first marble, opens it slowly. Inside is a number, a date. He keeps it hidden from the press. The drawing continues in silence. One marble after another. 42 dates will be selected today. Enough to conscript 4,200 men. The system is brutally simple. Every man who turned 20 between July 1st and December 31st, 1944, must register. If your birthday is drawn, you're in. No exceptions based on merit, education, or circumstance. A farmer's son and a banker's son face the same odds. One date means conscription. Another means freedom. The randomness is absolute. The consequences are not. Within 4 weeks, the call-up notices begin to arrive. Plain brown envelopes. Inside, official letters with government seals. You have been balloted in. Report for medical examination. Report for training. Report for duty. Some men receive nothing. Their birthdays weren't drawn. They're safe. For now. The next ballot will come in 6 months. Across Australia, families react. In Sydney, a young man opens his letter with trembling hands. His birthday was drawn. He's in. His brother, born 11 months earlier, escaped the ballot entirely. Too old. Safe. In Melbourne, another man exhales with relief. His birthday wasn't selected. But his best mate's was. The unfairness of it all breeds resentment. Why him and not me? Why me and not him? 2 men with identical lives. One will train as a soldier. The other will continue his studies. The only difference is a date they never chose. A birthday determined by chance years before conscription even existed. Within weeks, the conscripts report for training. Young men from cities and farms stand in formation at Kapuka and Puckapunyal. They're issued uniforms that don't quite fit. Rifles that feel foreign in their hands. They're taught to march, to shoot, to follow orders without question. 10 weeks of initial training. Then 3 months of core training. They're 19, 20, 21 years old. Some have never left their hometowns. Now they're being prepared for combat. For jungle warfare. For Vietnam. The instructors are hard men. Veterans of Korea, of Malaya, of conflicts most conscripts have never heard of. They push the young men to exhaustion. Make them crawl through mud, run until they collapse, strip and reassemble weapons in the dark. This isn't a game. This is preparation for survival. Not every conscript will make it through training. And not every conscript who deploys will come home. By mid-1965, the first conscripts arrive in Vietnam. They step off transport planes into sweltering heat. The air is thick, wet, oppressive. The smell of jungle, fuel and sweat fills their lungs. This is nothing like the bush back home. Nothing like the training grounds. This is real. The Viet Cong are out there, hidden in the dense foliage. Mines are buried in the paths. Ambushes wait around every corner. The conscripts are terrified, but they have no choice. They're here because a marble was drawn from a barrel. May 24, 1966. Private Errol Noack, 21 years old, has been in Vietnam for 10 days. Born on March 28, 1945. His birthday wasn't even drawn in the first ballot. But he registered on June 30, 1965, among the first intake of conscripts. Posted to the 5th Battalion, Royal Australian Regiment. A machine gunner. Today, his unit is conducting operations near Nui Dat. The weather is hot. The scrub is dense. Companies A and B are operating close together. Too close. Late that afternoon, Noack's platoon establishes a forward listening post. They move through the scrub slowly. Suddenly, shots ring out. Everyone goes to ground. Returns fire. During a brief pause, Noack rises to move to another position. A bullet from a submachine gun hits him in the side. The firing continues, then stops. It becomes clear what happened. Company A and Company B were shooting at each other. Friendly fire. Noack is still conscious when they load him onto the helicopter. He dies on the way to hospital at Vung Tau. The first Australian conscript killed in the Vietnam War. 21 years old. 10 days in country. His death sends shockwaves across Australia. The lottery has taken a life. Anti-war protesters daub the Cross of Sacrifice in Adelaide with red paint. Errolwayne Noack, aged 21. His was not to reason why. His father, Walter, has lost his only child. To a ballot he never chose. To a war he never supported. To a marble drawn from a barrel. The ballots continue. Twice a year. March and September. Every ballot draws between 60 and 133 dates. Over 1,000 birth dates will be selected by the time it ends. Over 800,000 men will register. 63,000 will be conscripted. 19,000 will be sent to Vietnam. By 1966, opposition to conscription begins to swell. Students march through the streets. They carry signs. Stop the draft. Our sons, our choice. Lottery of death. The crowds grow larger. University campuses become centers of resistance. Some young men refuse their call-up. They're arrested, tried, imprisoned. Some resistors go underground. They hide with networks of sympathizers. They live in communes. They broadcast on pirate radio stations. In September 1971, 4 wanted draft resistors occupy Melbourne University's Union Building. Radio Resistance begins broadcasting. This is Radio Resistance 3 Doctor. We are trying to give power to the people. The Postmaster General's department jams the signal. But the broadcasts continue. Intermittent. Defiant. Other resistors are caught. Michael Matheson refuses to be conscripted on anarchist principles. He's arrested multiple times. Escapes multiple times. In 1972, he's being escorted through Sydney University by 2 Commonwealth policemen. Handcuffed to one at each wrist, thousands of students surround them, block their paths, refuse to move. The pressure mounts. The officers free Matheson. He disappears into the crowd. In late November 1972, Matheson is jailed again. But within weeks, everything changes. Gough Whitlam's Labour government is elected. Whitlam announces the end of peacetime conscription. One of his first administrative decisions. Matheson and 6 other draft resistors are freed. The National Service Scheme is abolished on December 5, 1972. Those who don't wish to complete their service are discharged immediately. The ballots stop. The lottery is over. Australian troops are withdrawn from Vietnam. But for the men who were conscripted, the war never truly ends. Over 15,000 national servicemen served in Vietnam. More than 200 never came home. Around 1,200 were wounded. Some return home broken. They carry wounds that can't be seen. Nightmares that won't fade. Anger that has no outlet. They were sent to fight by a lottery. They came home to a country divided over the war they fought. No grand parades. No universal thanks. Just silence. And the knowledge that their birthdays, drawn from a barrel, sentenced them to this. The birthday ballot remains one of the most controversial chapters in Australian history. Opposition leader Arthur Calwell called it a lottery of death. The phrase stuck, because that's exactly what it was. A lottery where the prize was 2 years of your life. And sometimes your life itself. The wooden marbles are preserved now. Held in the National Archives in Canberra. Small spheres, each measuring approximately 1.5 centimeters in diameter. Numbered from 1 to 366. Each one representing a day of the year. Each one holding the power to change a life. Decades later, veterans still remember. They remembered the day the letter arrived. The moment they learned their birthday had been drawn. The training, the deployment, the fear, the loss. They remember friends who didn't come home. Brothers in arms chosen by the same random process. Young men who died not because they volunteered. Not because they believed in the cause. But because a marble with their birthday was pulled from a barrel. The birthday ballot was designed to be fair. Random, impartial, no favoritism, no class privilege, just pure chance. But fairness and justice are not the same thing. And random selection doesn't make conscription moral. It just makes it arbitrary. The families remember too. Mothers who waited by the letterbox. Fathers who tried to prepare their sons for what was coming. Brothers who felt guilt for being born in a different year. Sisters who watched their brothers leave, knowing they might not return. All of them powerless. All of them subject to the whims of chance. The protests achieved their goal. Public opinion turned against the war. Against conscription. Against the lottery that sent young men to die. The Whitlam government ended it. But it took 8 years. 16 ballots. 63,000 conscripts. 200 deaths. Australia has never used conscription for overseas service since. The National Service Act was finally repealed in 1992. 20 years after the scheme ended. The government wanted to ensure it could never happen again. That no future generation would be subject to the birthday ballot. In Mitchell Park, South Australia, the Errol Noack House was opened in 1989. It provided emergency accommodation for Vietnam veterans and their families. A memorial to the first conscript killed. A reminder of what the lottery cost. The house has since been demolished as part of redevelopment, but alternative veteran accommodation continues. The memory remains. The marble with the number 79 sits in a tray at the National Archives. March 20th. It was drawn in the first ballot. The man whose birthday it represented is in his 80s now. If he survived, some of the men whose birthdays were drawn never made it that far. The ballot was random, but the consequences were not. Some men adapted to military life. Some thrived. Some came home and built successful careers. Others were destroyed by what they experienced. Some never recovered from the trauma. Some never forgave the government that sent them. Some never forgave themselves for surviving when others didn't. The wooden barrel sits beside the marbles. Hand spun, simple, unremarkable, but it held extraordinary power. The power to divide lives based on nothing but chance. The power to send men to war without their consent. The power to break families. To shatter futures. To take lives. The birthday ballot remains a warning. A reminder that governments can make choices that destroy individual lives. That democracy doesn't always protect the citizen from the state. That fairness in process doesn't guarantee justice in outcome. For the men who were balloted in, the lottery defined their lives. It determined where they went, what they did, who they became. Some embraced it. Some resisted it. But none of them chose it. The dates drawn in the first ballot: March 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 15th, 17th, 18th, 20th, 24th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th. April 1st, 3rd, 4th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 11th, 13th, 14th, 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 26th, and 29th. And more. 42 dates in total. 42 groups of young men whose lives changed that day. Who learned within 4 weeks that they were going to war. The last ballot was held on September 22nd, 1972. By then, public opinion had turned decisively. The war was winding down. Australian involvement was ending. The ballot had become politically untenable. 2 months later, Whitlam's Labour government was elected. Conscription ended. The lottery stopped. But the legacy endures. In the memories of veterans. In the families torn apart. In the grave of those who never came home. In the wooden marbles sitting in the National Archives. In the names carved on memorials across Australia. In the stories passed down through generations. The birthday ballot was Australia's lottery of death. A system designed to be fair. A process that was anything but just. A reminder that chance, not choice, can determine the course of a life. And that sometimes that chance leads to war. And war leads to death. And death leaves only memory. And grief. And questions that can never be answered. The box is gone now. The marbles preserved. The dates recorded in official histories. But for the men who were called. For the families who waited. For the 200 who never returned. The birthday ballot is not history. It's memory. Permanent. Unshakable. A lottery that changed everything. And decided nothing but chance.